Sorry, I have this habit of bad humor, which doesn't go with a lot of serious topics, but I hope you'll bear with me. See, me being a panelist, TV panelist from last 5-6 years, right? So my life has become very like TV arguments, right? Speaking to the galleries, which my wife keep pointing out, कि तुम्हारा TV नहीं है. So I'll try to be serious. So this book which Shobit wanted me to talk, I wanted to talk about that book, which is like the current belief. But I think this captures largely the philosophy of the party that we call BJP. And the basic argument I'm making in the first chapter, and the title of the first chapter is very interesting. What is at stake? Meaning, my large argument is that do we have political parties only for the price of onion or bridges or inflation or all of that, right? Or do we have a cultural agenda also tied up to a government? So that was my larger argument. And then I take on the history of nationalistic thought and Bharatiya Janata Party. In fact, if you see this book, which is quite a fat book, the fattest book I've ever written among my 10 books, only half is the current BJP, the 1980 onwards BJP, right? In fact, let me be precise. When does the BJP start? BJP starts the founding of Bharatiya Janata Party. BJP only starts on page 247 in a 400 page book, which is not even 50%, right? So what I'm doing all along, I'm trying to track the history of the nationalistic thought. And to my understanding, BJP is the current manifestation of years and years of nationalistic thought. And a lot of debates that are very common today. And they're not common because they're trending today. Because today, the means of communications are very many, right? People say, oh, society is polarized. Society was like the way it was always. Only thing, now everybody is expressing their opinion, right? And we are able to see it, right? So even if you like my session, you can tweet it. You can record a video, tweet if you don't like me, right? And you can shame me, or you can write good about me. This was not available years back, right? In fact, when I meet a lot of politicians, I realize that doing politics is very tough today, and it was far more easier, I think, even 20 years back. Why? Because you can do anything. Nobody will even notice. Photo nahi tha, video nahi tha. Now, to everybody is a journalist with this camera and the phone. So, I'm trying to track in this book multiple instances. Let's say, if you say on the cultural side, right, and from the economic sides also, a lot of debates which are common today have a background which is 100 years, 150 years back. If you just follow the lineage also, so Bharatiya Janata Party was formed by Lal Krishna Advani, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, and many Murli Manohar Joshi, and many others, right? And in 1980, and they just came out of a government which fell premature, the Janata Party government in 1977, where everyone dissolved their parties and ran as Janata Party, though they have their symbols in the 1977 election. But before 1977, they were all in Bharatiya Janata. So we should at least track Bharatiya Janata. And if you see ideology, formation, technically Bharatiya Janata and Bharatiya Janata Party was not different, right? But a lot of people debate because as soon as Bharatiya Janata Party was formed, they said we will start with Gandhian socialism, right? That was the starting movement, but in a couple of years they realized and then they moved to more cultural side. So you have to track to understand Bharatiya Janata Party, you have to track whole of Bharatiya Janata, which is a huge history, which is a long history from 1950s to 1977 and very decent electoral history also. A lot of people never realize that they formed government. In fact, UP they have a coalition government. The coalition started with Bharatiya Janata. And in my book, I have documented a lot of debates, which are very interesting debate between Deen Dayal Upadhyay ji and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Deen Dayal Upadhyay was a purist, and he wanted government, but every Karyakarta is like a who understand Ekad Manavad, and he should be like the real politician that he wanted to be. But Atal Bihari Vajpayee said, no, we should form governments first, right? We should not form, and I think we should take left also, we should take this also, that also, we should take socialists of the big chunk, we should take socialists also. And first we should form government. And if you form government, and then only you can do what you want to do, right? Otherwise you can keep shouting. So these were the two thoughts that came. A very purist like someone like Deen Dayal Upadhyay, he wanted every MP, every minister should be ideologically aligned to my thought, versus Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was a practicalist, and he said we should form governments. And that's why I think Atal Bihari Vajpayee formed the first government of the ideological group, if I can say, and ran it successfully with, now if you imagine, it will be such a tough charge, and Mamata Banerjee was part of that government, DMK was part of that government. I think Abdullahs or Muftis, maybe both of them or either of them. I think Muftis were part of the government, right? So today it's so unimaginable in the very binary politics that we have today, right? So that's one. So you have tracked till Bharatiya Janata Sangh. Bharatiya Janata Sangh was started by what's the name? Syama Prasad Mookerjee, right? Syama Prasad Mookerjee. Now it's again little unimaginable that Bharatiya Janata Sangh, the whole political formation, was started someone who comes from Bengal, right? If you see today's politics, keep relating these thoughts to today's ideas, right? That a Bengali started the whole thought technically, right? If you tell this to Mamata Banerjee, she may not like it. And then you have to see, so the whole thought process that Syama Prasad Mookerjee brings, that also is part of current BJP. And if you go to any BJP's office, Syama Prasad Mookerjee's photo, they are not even like, it's not like Sitaram Kesari or what's his name, Narasimha Rao, right? The Congress says, no, I don't know when were they prime ministers, or like, they're kind of like not even attaching their history to them. So BJP is still, in fact, every BJP office has a bust of, the previous one is a bust of, today I'm forgetting names, of Veer Savarkar, right? So they are not even detaching themselves from Veer Savarkar, who was from Hindu Mahasabha, who was a staunch, not a staunch, but a decent critic of even RSS, right? On ideological issues. But their bust is still there. So we have to track all of them. And if you see the sum total of their some ideas or all the ideas is today's BJP. So let's say we were at Syama Prasad Mookerjee and Deen Dayal Upadhyay, who were Syama Prasad Mookerjee unfortunately died premature. In fact, Deen Dayal Upadhyay died premature, and a lot of people don't know, and I documented their deaths in quite a detail. A lot of people, if you took, when I talk to a lot of young people, we have some famous deaths, like which is counted in India. Mahatma Gandhi's death, Lal Bahadur Shastri's death, because it happened in another country. Rajiv Gandhi, Indira Gandhi happened in a like so-called terrorist attack, if you can call it, or in ambush, right? Versus the Syama Prasad Mookerjee's death and a Deen Dayal Upadhyay's death. If you and I have a habit of keep doing my dipstick surveys when I go to college. Like, I'm sure these looking very senior people, I'm sure you all must be knowing. But if you go to a very young audience, they don't even know that they died in very, very mysterious circumstances, right? And now some movies are coming, people at least getting to know that Syama Prasad Mookerjee was captured, he was in that Kashmir Yatra, he was captured, kept in a house where he was not given even proper blankets. He died out of pneumonia. The thand se mar gaya aadmi. Because and the house he was kept in, it seemed they were like, he was at quite a wild place. There were snakes and what do you call it, bichu? Yeah, whatever you call it in English. So he was kept in that place, and he was kept asking for help, doctor, more warmer things, heating of the heat, that was never given, right? And never any inquiry was made properly, right? And he died in that, because, see, Jawaharlal Nehru was a very shrewd, smart guy, right? Every politician is. And he was very wary of his opposition, that nib opposition in the bud. I think his version was kill opposition in the bud. And similarly with Deen Dayal Upadhyay, he was found dead on a track, right? On a railway track, and never inquiry was properly made, and it was made out to be like some chori in the train, right? It was very hard to believe such a senior neta was pushed out and nobody saw in the whole train, and he was on the track. And you know what? Where was he coming from? He was coming from Uttar Pradesh. I think he died in that place. What is the place? Mughal Sarai. Now they changed the name of the station to his name. Yeah. And he was coming from a meeting from Lucknow after forming the government. And that was one of the first initial, it was not a total Jansangh government, but Jansangh was a major part. And I think he died in 67, right? And 67 when Congress started losing ground, right? Even Congress was having factions. And I've documented what Congress is fearing all of this, right? And I was also, so this is then you have to track Syama Prasad Mookerjee. Syama Prasad Mookerjee come from Bharatiya Janata Party. But he comes from the background of Hindu Mahasabha, right? Just a day before he was in Hindu Mahasabha. Then you have to find Hindu Mahasabha. And Hindu Mahasabha, when you talk about Hindu Mahasabha, you have to talk about Veer Savarkar. In fact, there are two kinds of Hindu Mahasabha. There was Savarkarite Hindu Mahasabha, right? Because he was like the way Congress had Garam Dal, Naram Dal, Even Hindu Mahasabha had factions. Yeah. And then when you start reading Veer Savarkar, then you realize that what a powerhouse he was. And fortunately, they made a very decent movie. You should all watch it. It's a little longish 3 hours movie. But again, then you realize that Veer Savarkar, if I say to a lot of normal people, they will say, हाँ उसको जेल में डाला था, उसने माफ़ी मांगी, वो बाहर आ गया. That's the only theory around him, right? But the amazing part is that the amount of content he has written, and very few people will talk of Veer Savarkar as a erudite scholar, right? I think fortunately all multiple politicians were scholars then. Nehru wrote extensively, Mahatma Gandhi wrote extensively, Sardar Patel, did he write something? I don't know, but Ambedkar wrote extensively. But Veer Savarkar wrote super extensively. But is that the image around Veer Savarkar? That he was like, he has written 6 epochs of history, Indian history. He has written about 1850. In fact, the best documentation on 1857 is written by Veer Savarkar. And a lot of revolutionary, the famous ones also, from Bhagat Singh to everyone, used to take his text. And the way he got his book published and the way he wrote his books, you know, when he was in the Kala Pani thing, right? You know how he used to remember his thing? He used to write on the wall, he used to make sure, he used to memorize his content to the prisoner who was about to get free, so that he can go out and say that and that can be written. Like, can you imagine? That's quite a way to write something. Versus a lot of other prisoners who used to get like very fancy pens and writes and 2-room sets to write, right? In fact, that's a better, अच्छा तरीका है. You can put me in confinement to write, right? And give me good food and good facilities to write. You have not the distraction of the society. So I have documented all of that, the idea that Veer Savarkar gave to the whole thought. And then if you track Hindu Mahasabha is formed by the Arya Samajis of Haryana and Punjab, and we are in one such place, right? And then you have to start that most Arya Samajis came in response of the Islamic identity that became very prominent after 1857. So 1857, when the company rule became the formal British government rule, right? Then everyone started taking postures, right? Society, community, a large community, that we have to, shall we align with the government or shall we align with the Congress? But Congress was like, yeah, or the thought which was available, right? Congress was not there, right? Congress only formed when 1883, right? Right. So shall we align with, but the thoughts were there that all the people who are doing movement against the company or not the government, where should we align? And then this name, which again, not so popular, I'm sure many of you must be knowing, Sir Syed. I know how many of you know this is Sir Syed, who's the founder of earlier whatever name, MOA, some name, and now Aligarh Muslim University. And his bust is still there. A lot of people, still Sir Syed Day is celebrated. And he is the originator of the idea of Pakistan. And he said Hindus and Muslims are two different communities, two different nations, right? They chipkowed to Veer Savarkar, they chipkowed to Jinnah later. But Jinnah and all very later adopter, right? Jinnah was like not even a staunch Muslim. His habits of what he used to eat, what he used to smoke and drink was very known. And when I started reading Sir Syed, it was quite a revelation for me that the kind of things he said and did, and how the British government very smartly identified him, that he is the one whether we should bet on, and they gave him money. They gave him money, place to set up the college. I forgot the name, and some of you, MOA or Metropolitan. What was the name of what the name? Yeah, Oriental was the word. I think it was documented, and then it became Aligarh. So they gave the land. In fact, 3 board members was Goras in the initial formation of Aligarh Muslim University, and when these things were happening, right? In response, the Arya Samajis started. The whole Arya Samaj movement started coming up, and their demand was, whatever you're doing, do for everyone. Their demand was still not very Hindu-centric or community-centric, which is very interesting. Even the Veer Savarkar, he never asked for things for Hindus. He said, okay, whatever you're doing, do for everyone, right? Which is a very interesting thought. They were not going to do for Hindus also. You say, so first time the community-based politics started, and the signals were Sir Syed, the signals were formation of Muslim League, the signals were formation of Aligarh Muslim University, which became the hotbed. In fact, the hotbed physically also. In fact, for all the later part, all the important meetings used to happen in Aligarh Muslim University because it's very near to Delhi also. And Delhi was the hotbed after 9/11, not the 9/11, 1911. Like the Delhi became the hotbed anyway. So I tried to document all of that in this book, and it became a parallel documentation for a lot of people, a lot of scholars, of that how you want to read the nationalistic history, that what was happening with Jansangh when Congress was thriving, right? Let's say I'll give you a very interesting idea. We talk about cow and cow slaughter very vociferously these days, right? And if you talk to normal people, and a lot of people say, because I am also a TV panelist, I'll keep hearing, and I'm also I come on YouTube, I keep reading every comment, right? Even if they abuse me, what are they abusing me on, right? So whenever we talk about cow, the cow ka law to Yogi ji laye. This is the normal because you should know how people understand what you say. Because let's say I'm just digressing for 2 seconds, just for the joke. For some people, they understood electoral bond as some other Bond movie. Like some persons were like, what is this Bond thing has come, right? So what you say on TV and how people perceive is very different. And this is what I'm going to give an example. So a lot of people think that someone like love jihad, someone think cow slaughter, Yogi ji brought, right? And I clarified in my different books. Let's say talk about cow slaughter laws, right? They'll be very interesting, and which I documented very detail in my book. So Jansangh and by the time RSS was formed in 1925. So Jansangh and RSS and a lot of other associated groups was doing lot of movements around cow slaughter, that there should be laws around cow slaughter, and they were getting very popular in North Indian. That's why BJP was said was cow party, North Indian party, cow belt party, right? And that's certainly the reason what I'm going to tell you. So they realized that these movements are becoming very popular, right? See, because cow is not the topic which RSS have discovered the topic, right? Even if you go to a village today and try to beat a cow, a passerby jane gaay ko nahi marte, right? It's not that RSS taught this to everyone. That was the ethos of India. RSS just took care of that topic, right? Okay, this topic should be covered. And I'm sure if you attended any of the ceremony of Indian tradition, from birth to marriage to death, there is a cow in this, right? Kauve ko roti khilao, kutte ko roti khilao, गाय को रोटी खिलाओ. And गाय is a part of a lifestyle. Not only I'm sorry, not only from the milk point of view. I'm saying you're part of a tradition. And when these cow slaughter movements became very popular, you know what Nehru did? Very smart thing. That's why he's a shrewd politician he was. He got past the anti-cow slaughter laws in all the states, but not into the center. So all the cow slaughter laws which are in India against cow slaughter, they're passed by Congress governments. From Uttar Pradesh, because they only had all the government, because 67 we had some government, they had all the government. So all the cow slaughter laws are passed between 1955 to 1965 and passed by Congress governments, even today, right? Some which maybe have the more left influence, then not able to pass. So I think India and some of the eastern states and Bengal, Kerala and 2-3 states, they don't have a proper cow slaughter laws, right? When Yogi Adityanath came, he did not add a line to the law. He just said illegal cow slaughters will be banned, which is like a government order, not even a law. And what is anything illegal? Anything should be banned, right? Someone who does another land, someone who has a food license, someone who has multiple licenses that a slaughterhouse needs, it will be banned. But it stuck to him that he brought the cow slaughter law. That I'm trying to demystify that how act like a theory and how people perceive it. Similarly, love jihad, that he started talking about it, he started very vocal about it, and now he made a law also, which is not a love jihad law, which is like something catering to that. But this term in equivalence was taken by a lot of Congress chief ministers in Kerala, right? When they said then they gave a data that how 5,000 Christian girls were converted to Islam. This term was very popular as grooming gangs in Canada and UK, and still common as grooming gangs in Canada and UK. Right. So I think I try to document that when Congress was flourishing, what was the right wing thought doing, right? And how was it flourishing? So this book is all about that, right? Now I'll try to jump to the next book, right? And how will I change the slides with this laptop? Oh no, there's a stick. Yeah. So this book was an output of my, I was in a fellowship in Oxford for 3 months last year, and we were tagged to, 12 of us was tagged to a political science department. My research was around usage of comic books for political commentary. When I went there, and that we should learn, I've realized over years, my 8-9 years of life in social, public, political life, that the communication medium the left uses are very smart, right? And comic being one of them. And now, from stand-up comedy to movies, everything they use very smartly, right? And not on the face. You not even realize that you are also getting converted slowly, right? Let's say the word mythology. However you want to escape it, you end up saying it, because otherwise the other person doesn't understand it, right? So I read all the major political comics written, right? So Karl Marx, there's a very famous comic. Che Guevara has a very famous comic. Annie Frank is not left, right, but Annie Frank has a comic. Palestine conflict has a comic which is pro-Palestine. 9/11 has a comic, right? And then I read a lot of art styles, which art styles suit which. So I was writing this, compiling this data anyways. Then I thought that let me add 2-3 elements to it. So one is what Narendra Modi has done in last 10 years, right? Second is the human story behind it. Why human story? If I say 4 crores housing being built, right? See, that data at times goes in thin air. Versus someone who got the house. Let's say if I got the house, what was my life before 2014 without a house or without a pakka house, and what's my life after a pakka house, right? So I tried to document a human story. And then I thought, let me also tickle it to the new generation, because there are 2 crores young voters in this election. There are 97 crore voters, 2 crores being young voters who are only 18 or 19, right? Who were how much? 8 or 9 years of old when Narendra Modi took charge in 2014. So their life went through largely this text, this medium, right? Which might be comics or which might be animation. So that was another idea, that can I compile various art mediums? So I used a lot of art styles. So after every 10 themes, so there are 101 themes. I use what? Semi-realistic, cartoon, stylized, manga, watercolor, realistic, ink wash, Indian traditional comic style, which is used in Amar Chitkatha, Disney cartoon style, and sepia. So I also use multiple art styles. So this can also become a compendium for a lot of art students, a lot of people who want to compile things in a very different communication medium. So that was that. Second, the book is also available in Hindi and English. So after end of each case, I also wrote a poetic couplet, right? I took help from some other, in English it comes a little boring, but in Hindi they are decently catchy, and a lot of people are using them as also as political slogans, right? So now I jump to this, that why someone will vote for someone, and then I'll fit the book part somewhere. So this is a binary that's used in TV channels, and why I say TV channel, because I'm a TV panelist from the last 4, 5, 6. That's how I see politics. Because when I say TV channels, whatever content is available on the video, right? Be it TV channels or YouTube, and a lot of people shape their because people don't read heavy text, right? Not even newspapers, right? They read headings. Very few people read those editorials also. So a lot of people shape their political opinions based on the videos, on the reels to large videos or the TV channels that they hear, right? And this is a binary used very commonly in TV channel, कि vote काम पे पड़ेगा, राम पे पड़ेगा, right? And I'm sure you understand the meaning of the binary, right? And they also add कि caste पे पड़ेगा, जात पे पड़ेगा. So काम versus Ram versus जात is a very common binary that people, and so much so, a lot of people blame that politicians cater to the Jat or the Dharm, right? But when we sit on TV channel, we dissect every seat with the same, कि इस seat पे इतने मुसलमान हैं, इतने ब्राह्मण हैं, इतने शाक हैं, इतने, what we are doing. We are also, if politician is catering to a TG, then he has become communal, right? Any party. When a TV channel analyst catering to the same divisions, right? It's the same. So I always say that whenever any politician goes out, he basically targets a target audience, which we marketing call a TG, and he will say that in what fashion should I deliver my message so that it connect to person X or person Y, and that I'll try to theorize, right? Am I doing something wrong? Okay, we have to. So I call it ABCD analysis of a voter's mind, right? And I gave it a formula. So the function, so voter's mind is a function of A plus B plus C plus D. What are these four variables? A is my personal well-being. So when I say I means a voter, right? Did my life change significantly in this, let's say 10 years, because we are talking about current incumbent, which is Narendra Modi. Did my life change significantly? Well, right. You call it ease of living, change in life pattern, well-being. But to my understanding, when I talk to, and this, my theory is based on talking to a lot of people in different strata of life. And to realize that your life should change significantly for that to become a voting behavior. Meaning A to become a voting behavior, because some change will anyway happen, right? That's part of life. Even if you remove politician, only the bureaucrats run the country, they will do some change. There will be some budget, they will do some decent thing, right? But if the change is significant, that will become a voting preference, right? B is my identity, be it the caste or the religion or the region or the gender, or some words are repeated, sorry. So, and the caste and religion become very predominant. And that's the part of the discourse we have realized, that caste and religion become, but gender also, that maybe the woman voter want to vote with the women voter or with the other way around. In Obama's victory, a lot of say he looked very handsome and a lot of women voter voted for him because he's having good looks. That can be a reason. Region these days, South-North divide can be one reason that, okay, BJP is a North Indian party, we will not vote for them. Age can be a factor. A lot of people say, okay, we want young politicians versus the old politician. So this is, but whatever, this is my identity. Do I relate to this politician or not, who's coming as my candidate, or the top leader, do I relate to him or not? I don't care about the work. And then C is the national well-being. So first was the my personal well-being, and C is the national well-being. Many times the national well-being does not do any good to me in immediate term. Let's say if India does a very amazing G20 celebration, right? G20 organization, maybe my life will not change, right? Very few people, the people who are into international trade and business, their life may change, but largely for people, life will not change. But I'll take pride, right? If my team wins some match or an Olympic medal, it doesn't change my life much, right? Until unless I'm in some sports business, right? But I'll take pride. So these factors can also be part of my voting behavior. But how much, we'll see. And then my factor D is that who's executing A, B and C. There's a party and there is a leader of the party, right? Who's executing A, B, C. What is their perception? So I think I've realized, talking to a lot of people, that they have this complex equation of A, B, C and D in their mind. It's not that they write on paper and do a calculation and vote, but this is going on in their mind. And if I see different stratas, from economically weaker section to middle class to upper middle class, they all have these factors, right? Maybe the weightage of the factor may increase and decrease. Maybe someone who is doing international trade, for him or her, factor C can be very important. India's image outside, there's a lot of entrepreneurs, like unicorns told me that from last 6-7 years, raising money has become easy for us because India's brand has increased, right? They don't find India is like a chore type of country where anything can happen. The law is followed here, the contracts are followed here. You can refer courts, you have good talent, you have a very stable government. So for them, the factor C can be very high, right? For a lot of people who are in the EWS section, for them government is very important. For a lot of us, maybe we don't run a government help, right? For them, their immediate needs, their house, their food becomes very important, right? And then I realized one very interesting factor, so let's consider factor A, which is the most important factor, right? Did my life change in last 10 years or not? So this is I think my interaction in the region of Bundelkhand in Lalitpur, right? And one woman put it very interestingly that how her life has shown drastically, right? That she used to get up in a kacha house where it was leaking most of the time, and she used to get up when her kids are getting wet in the night and they have fever, and now she gets up in a pakka house. And outside when she goes, she sees her own placard, right? So if you know, the PM Awas houses are given to the women folks, right? And she was telling me in pride that now this is my house, and everyone, and she was pointing the family members, 5-6 family members, they will live in my house, right? For her, it was a sea change. We may not realize, right, that 4 crore houses, and 4 crore houses is how many? If you even take a family of 5, 20 crore people now live in a pakka house, which are not living in a pakka house, right? And then she says, now I go to a toilet. And I'm sure many of you know who worked in the social space that how difficult it was for the women folk especially. They have to get up early so that the sun will not rise, or they will wait late. They were drinking less water so that they have to not urinate. And they will wait for the sunrise in the evening, right? Quite a challenge, right? In 21st century, it's not that toilets are something, a rocket science which are not developed. Toilets are there for centuries, right? But they did not have toilets, right? And then she has to wash hands, she has to take bath, right? And I still see when I go to a lot of such regions, they open and close the tap almost like a magic, right? For them, opening a tap is carrying 20 liters of water from quite some distance, right? I'm sure when I was in a hostel, I remember hostel mein pani wani nahi aata, you have to carry buckets and waters, and it was quite a pain, and carrying like 20-30 liters of water. They all have some kind of spine problem, head problem because of carrying such high weight. They're not trained body weight lifters, right? And similar thing when they go to gas, the same thing. It's a magic for them, because for them gas, and these are big numbers like 4 crore houses, 10 crore toilets, 11 crore tap connection, 11 crore or around 10 crore gas connection. You know, the 10th crore gas connection was given in Ayodhya that day when Prime Minister went just before the Pran Pratishtha. And then the ration is also coming. The ration that she is cooking is coming very smoothly. In fact, in UP and a lot of other states where the one nation, one ration card thing is there, by the thumb impression. So all the 14 crore voters are now Aadhaar based, right? They have a POS machine, all 80,000 ration sellers. Sitting in Lucknow, Yogi Adityanath can find out who has taken ration in Jhansi or a Balia or a Lalitpur, right? At that precise now. And ration ki chori is like a thing of the past. And which is, for us, it might be a statistic. But for those people who are living, and this is a large population, large number of voters, their life has a sea change now, right? And then they say that we have a lot of disposable income also. Because of DBTs, of PM Kisan, of Vidwa pension, of scholarship that's coming to the kids, we have very decent disposable income also. And all of this is happening when there is 24-hour electricity. You know, just 10 years back, India's average electricity supply was 12 to 13 hours. And now it's 20 to 23 hours, right? Just by increasing 8 hours of electricity, you can add decent percentage to the GDP. And that we are realizing, because people use that kind of gadget and use that kind of tools. So two kind of the vote consolidation. So when I'm seeing the last slide, the A is going up, right? The factor A is going up. What does it mean when A goes up, right? When A goes up, so when the governance goes up, right, the identity politics decreases. Why it decreases? Because earlier you have to find, let's say if I have to file a police complaint, and I'm thinking I will not, someone will not file my police complaint. I will try to find a police fellow who is from my caste or from my religion, or I'll get a Bahubali from my village who is from my caste, who can get me access to a police station. Similarly for the scheme, who will get me the Narega ka paisa? In fact, who will get me enrolled in the Narega thing, right? Who will get me that scholarship ka paisa? Who will get me when my Vidwa pension is getting expired? I have to go to the block office and say I'm alive, right? For all the old age pension, you have to show every year that you are alive. Now you have to go to a CC center and show your thumb and then you show you are alive, right? So when these so-called agents, right? Agents of the societies, their power reduces. Their power can only reduce when the governance is increasing. So because the governance is increasing multifold, the identity politics is decreasing. So my reliance on my community is decreasing. My reliance of the community is still there for the marriage, for festival, that's fine, and that should be. India is a very community-led society, that should be. But my reliance for community, for getting the governance work done, is getting reduced, right? That's why the caste boundaries are getting blurred. And that's why a Narendra Modi voter typically votes as a beneficiary rather than this caste or that caste, right? That's one consolidation that we have observed. Second consolidation.
That's a theory.
Oh, sorry. Say that again.
That's a theory.
No, yeah, you're right. That's in theory, but that's happening also. That's happening also the ground. That the weightage. I'm sure someone can do an even more scientific exercise and add particular weightages. The weightage, mine is anecdotal. I'm trying to theorize my anecdotal evidence. But if someone does that, my hunch that the weightage of A has increased multifold and the weightage of B have decreased quite significantly. Though that's a different thing, that when you see the electioneering, when you see the TV commentary, that's largely still around B, right? Because when you talk about A, doesn't sound very interesting. I'll give you example. Recently, Prime Minister made quite a vocal remark, right, in a recent rally when he's talking about the redistribution that Rahul Gandhi is talking about, and they will give it to someone, to the minorities, and their focus on minorities is very age-old documented, right? A lot of people in the TV said, why Prime Minister has to say this, right? Has he lost seats in the first phase that he has to say this? I think my counter was, and I've shown the parts of the speech, Prime Minister normally gives a 40 minutes to a 1 hour speech, right? His speech is still carrying all those what I'm mentioning. He's still carrying the house, the electricity, the toilets, the DBT. Only thing that doesn't, that's not very fancy. That's not a headline. The headline is Hindu Musliman. So TV will still carry Hindu Musliman, but when the voter only hears it as a joke, or not as a joke, should say, as a headline. But he is still waiting. He is still voting based on A, because that's his large life. He has to get up. He has to live in a house. He has to cook. She or he has to cook food. He has to eat food. That's his life, right? So that's one consolidation happening. Another consolidation that's happening on a Hindu identity. So when Prime Minister, let me tell you my experience in Oxford, and then I'll come to the Hindu identity. My class was happening in Oxford. You have to tag to a college, right? So my college was Saint Cross College, and the room where largely my sessions and lecture happened, in a small room like this, it was Saint Cross room, and there was a cross in the room, like a proper cross in the room, right? So there was a class on secularism one day. They were telling some secular ideas, what is the history of secular ideas, all of that. I'm saying, are we really talking secularism in this class? And I pointed toward this cross, right? And the professor got a little jittery. He said, no, you are belittling the debate. This is not about this space. It's a larger debate. Then I pointed out that Oxford University has an official church. And it's written official, that exactly is an official church of University of Oxford. I'm saying Oxford University has an official church, right? So they said, no, this is not Oxford versus this, it's a larger debate. So I was trying to take the debate larger, then said no. So Oxford has 32 colleges, right? Every college had a chapel. Chapel is like a private church, which is like also a large church, right? Every college had a chaplain, a choir group, and the service timing was written on the academic website of the college. So if you want to know when is your physics class, you will also find when is the service time of today, right? And that's all documented in all the academic website you can still see of Oxford, right? Which is like a kind of champion of secularism, human rights, everything, right? And the professor got a little jittery, and I continued, and I faced a disciplinary case for this later. And I said, as a country, UK is still a monarchy, right? So the king, now the king, earlier the queen, is the head of the state and head of the church also, right? Church of England. And Church of England has 22 positions reserved in their Rajya Sabha, which is called House of Lords, right? They have 92 positions reserved for high blood also, which is they call hereditary, which are come from Duke of Newcastle. So someone who is teaching of all of this, right, has religious reservation for Church of England in their parliament. The country is managed, and every university, every major university has a big church. Huge church inside, and our Oxford fellowship, the visit to 3-4 churches was part of the official visit. I doubt if some official Gora group comes to India, we will take them to temples. Maybe we do a secularist type temple for Akshardham, but I doubt we'll take them to Ram temple if they come for an official policy trip, right? I went to one of the schools also, Winchester Castle. It's a very famous school. It's a very expensive school. The fees is like 5-6 lakh rupees a month, which is like even expensive for a UK person. Rishi Sunak went to the school. That's why they call him Rishi Sunak. So there are only 600 students there. And the principal of that school was an ex-ambassador to India and Afghanistan. Can you imagine like what is the heft of the 600? Almost like tomorrow you make Jaishankar a principal of a school, right? Of 600 students. But those 600 students were like kind of Rishi Sunaks. And this person, the ambassador principal, I forgot his name, some David, he said, because he was ambassador, he was making a political commentary also. He said, yeah, Narendra Modi's India is developing, but Narendra Modi's India should be for everyone, not only for Hindus, right? I tried to check him and say, give me instances, and they say, we will take it to, whenever someone is uncomfortable with the question, they said, we will talk over the tea, right? But interestingly, in the next sentence he said, he was telling that our boys won a cricket competition, he was like boasting about the college. Then he also said, our boys won a choir competition. And I trapped in. Choir, you know what is a choir, right? It's a bhajan mandali of like Christian songs, right? So I just said, okay, you have choir competitions? Like, is that a Christian college? No, 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 that's a tradition in. And then I pinpointed him that this sounds like a very Christian thing. Do you have like a Hindu song, bhajan mandali, and or whatever you sing in Islam or wherever you sing, right? Then I was able to point him down that a country being run based on how the majority feels is a order of the day. It's not an anomaly. And I'm not pointing out that's like you having a 10-day Christmas break can be offending to me, right? Why I should be a Christmas break? You having a 6 days Easter break whenever it happens, right? But versus not a Ramzan 10 days break or a Diwali 10 days break. It's a normal thing because you're largely Christian country. But if that happens in India, heavens fall normally, right? I'm sure, have you seen any American president to take oath? They take an oath on a Bible, and just before the oath, they go to a particular church in Washington, D.C. And that's a tradition from last 100, 200 years, right? Versus if you remember, when Narendra Modi won for the first time, 2014, he went to Ayodhya and he said, "Mujhe Maa Ganga ne bulaya." That's a very classic dialogue. But a lot of people all of a sudden said, "Oh my God, he's a Hindu prime minister has come." Versus Obama is never being a Christian prime minister. He goes to a particular Obama or whoever comes, right? Because that's a tradition, right? So, but very interestingly, when I pointed all of this, they didn't have any smart argument against my argument. And I realized I think we have not called out properly, right? Similar argument, right? And I'll come to this argument then, that how Prime Minister has combined the Hindu identity, similar argument. We went to the foreign ministry as a part of, we went to a lot of ministries, we went to the foreign ministry. And the typical statement any UK bureaucrat will say that don't treat India-UK relationship with the lens of colonialism. We are a very new generation and we have not contributed to that, right? The current age has not contributed to that. So if you are sour about whatever happened in the country, it's our forefathers, right? Okay, fine. Which is a typical argument, Islamic argument also, that I have not broken your temples. Aurangzeb did it, Babar did it, right? So why? Which is a very fair argument. But my point there was, and same here, if you are still finding heroes in your forefathers, then I have a problem with you. And if you've been to UK, London, if you walk in Trafalgar Square or Big Ben, all of those, and there are statues with written, he won Punjab for us. He was the whatever sergeant or army captain for the Punjab mutiny or this mutiny. So, and inside the church, you have the names of the army people, which also shows that it was not only a territorial rule, it was also a evangelical rule, right? Otherwise, why will you put the name of the army men inside a church? Meaning it was a church army and major church, Church of Glasgow, Church of England, you have the name of the army men then. And not only for India, who won Africa, who won this or so when you made this argument, they have a very flimsy counter argument. They say, no, that's a history, that's kind of a documentation of history. You don't do documentation of history on roads, right? You do documentation of history on books. Why? Then you document Hitler also on the road. I'm sure all of you know that in 18 countries of Europe, denying Holocaust is a crime, right? Having a road which named Hitler Road is like not even thinkable. Versus it's common in India. You can have Aurangzeb Road, that too in a very Sikh-led Delhi, where what havoc Aurangzeb has created is not even like need research, right? Then I'm coming here, right? So picking from Aurangzeb Road, right? So my problem was there that when you're finding a hero in a Babar or a Aurangzeb, then I have a problem, right? And when Narendra Modi is starting doing this, like changing the names, and about changing the name, a lot of people make changing the name very frivolous. If you just say American media, changing the names and the name change committees were part of American system. Every year they change names of the roads. It's not only India changes name. When Nehru became the prime minister, there was a commission for changing names. So when you walk on Rajpath or Janpath, they were King's Road and Queen's Road 50, 70 years back. Only thing he stopped short of changing Aurangzeb Road because there was a vote bank there. If there would have been some 5-10% Anglo-Indians who have stayed in India and they would have vote bank, even we still be walking on King's Road and Queen's Road because they were not a vote bank anymore. He were happy to change their name and change it to Rajpath, Janpath and a lot of other names, but he stopped short of changing a name Aurangzeb, which was very, okay, Akbar you can still give benefit of doubt, though I don't give, but okay, you can give benefit of doubt, but not of Aurangzeb, whose like history is blatantly written, that to a very Sikh-dominated Delhi, right? So when Prime Minister very openly wearing on the sleeve is Hindu identity, which any international leader does, right? As I told you, Obama goes to a particular church as a part of official ceremony, they take oath on a Bible. When he started doing that, remember when he gave Bhagavad Gita to Obama when he went, right? In the news, the first day it was that tomorrow Obama is hosting a dinner for Narendra Modi and this is the menu. And the next day news came, the Narendra Modi did not have the dinner because he was on a Navratra fast. And the first time in the American newspaper, the Navratra was discussed. What is the Navratra, why the fast is done, what is Devi, all of that, right? So when he was started pushing his Hindu identity, right, and that not only symbolism, to the level of renovating a lot of temples, from Kedarnath to Somnath to Omkareshwar to Kashi Vishnath, where is the MP from. An epitome came when he became the Jajman Pran Pratishtha, did a 11-day penance, did the Pran Pratishtha, the way it happened, right? And no qualms about it, right? Then the caste identity further blurred. So identity politics, ways different identities blurred was because of the high governance, when people were getting their affirmative action policies, not because they are part of this community or that community, because they are because they were poor, because they came in some filter and the policy was given to them. And also the second criteria, because now they are coming out of their caste identity, they are voting as a Hindu, most of the cases, right? And I am not saying this identity politics and caste politics has gone by, but the weightage to that parameter is significantly reduced, right? And now, okay, quickly coming to factor C. Oh, no. Quickly coming to factor C. So, beneficiary voter is 1, Sanatani Hindu voter is 1. Coming to factor C, this is again an important factor, like at least for middle class, upper middle class, right? That taking, and even a lot of people who are in villages, they take pride, right? Because of, I think, social media and continuous supply information, right? Even everyone knows about everything, right? When I go to villages, they understand what's happening in Ukraine. वो पता है कि इंडिया का झंडा लगा लो तो बस निकल जाएगी, right? Even in a Ukraine-Russia conflict. I think these, interestingly, because of this constant supply of YouTube content, real content, everyone knows largely. They may misinform sometime, but more or less they know everything, right? So a lot of people taking pride in the brand India, that also adding to the vote base of Narendra Modi. Now let me for the next five minutes discuss the factor D, which is the leader in the party, right? So the animation is okay. When I say Narendra Modi, right? Narendra Modi is a
Just a clarification.
Yeah.
So you have in mind the parliamentary election.
Yeah. Say the question.
Parliamentary election, because state election equation can be very different.
Currently, I'm talking about parliamentary election, but we can largely extrapolate it into state elections also. But you're right. As soon as the constituency becomes smaller, the entity politics increase, because your connection and your ability to even see the candidate. So let's say in a Pradhani election, you will see the candidate for sure, because Pradhani election the voters are 2,000 vote. There is a high probability to see your candidate in a municipal election. There is a little lesser but decent high to see your MLA candidate, but it's a very bleak possibility to see your MP candidate live, right? So your connection, as soon as your connection for politics reduce, you connect in some identity group, which can be your caste, your religion, right? So now, yeah, but largely, because the book is around that, largely the framework is on the parliamentary election. But idea is that calm and ram, or calm or entity, right? If your calm increases very visibly, your vote on identity and caste diffuses. Your entity, your lines of caste and religion diffuses until there is a counter narrative from the other side. So let's talk about Narendra Modi. So Narendra Modi is a product of a lot of things. 15 years in a body like RSS, 15 years in BJP's organization, 13 years as a CM, not 14, as a CM, and 10 years as Prime Minister. So I think the part of he knowing the society so well, and it reflects in his politics very evidently, right? And a lot of people say, when I talk to very insiders in the party, that still a lot of politicking is done at Prime Minister's level. People say Amit Shah Chanakya hai, Yogi Chanakya hai, Sunil Bansal Chanakya hai, but the biggest Chanakya is still the Prime Minister. Only thing, he doesn't manifest it, right? You don't say him saying all of those interviews and things, right? He still keeps saying very nice things, because someone who has spent, and maybe today's Pracharak life is a little different. If you realize 20-30 years back when Narendra Modi was a Pracharak, it was almost a hard guideline to them that you will eat a breakfast in a house, a lunch in a different house, and a dinner in a different house, and you stay in a different house, right? So I think anyone for 15 years, if you visit and spend time in 4 houses a day, right, then people say that he doesn't have a family, but he stayed in thousands of families. So he understands an entrepreneur's life, a farmer's life, a teacher's life, a banker's life, and many others' lives, right? So that's then. And then he have managed multiple elections from Himachal to south to west to east, right? So he has traveled in India extensively and managed those elections. So traveling as a tourist, as a social scientist is one, and converting those your knowledge of social science into voting block is one, right? So he did that for multiple years, and then understood as state elections. Understood as state administration and understood national. So he is a product of all of that. Versus all these dynasts, right? Versus their fathers. A lot of their fathers were smart politicians. A lot of their fathers or their dynasts were smart politicians. Someone like a Mulayam Singh Yadav or Lalu Prasad Yadav came with a very hard-fought battle. That's a different thing. When they got power, they got corrupted. Morally corrupted, financially corrupted, politically corrupted. That's a different thing. But they did not have an easy route. They also had, they fought hard. But because someone like Narendra Modi and many others have a very grounded training for like a RSS or a BJP organization, right? The factor of their corruptibility decreases. In fact, this was my, I went to launch one of my book in US, right? So I had a session in Harvard, a small session like this where 40, 50 people shown up. And they asked a question on Yogi Adityanath, which holds true here also. They said a yogi should go to the mountainside, why he is like enjoying the fruits of the politics. Exactly this expression that boy used, right? As an Indian boy, that why he is enjoying the fruits of politics. And my answer was that at Harvard or any other policy school, you study about policy, you study about journalism, you study about judiciary, right? Do you have a factory to create good leaders? They said, no, we have a course on leadership, we'll say the traits of leadership. I'm saying, okay, do you have a factory to create a selfless leader, a non-corrupt leader? And they found the argument itself a little preposterous. They said, no, how can that happen? I'm saying, in India, we have a factory. And as a factory called RSS, a factory called maybe Sannyas. And I gave the example of Narendra Modi and Yogi Adityanath that you can't teach proprietary, right? You can see selflessness in like a 1-year course or a 2-hour workshop or a 1-day workshop or a 15-day boot camp, right? You have to live that life for a long time, right? RSS kind of life or a yogi kind of life. I'm sure you all understand in sannyas, you do a pindadan of yourself as if your previous entity is dead. So if you see Yogi Adityanath Aadhaar card, the name of his father is not the name of his biological father. The name will be his guru's name, which is Mahanta Vaidyanath, right? So when you live that life for long, right, there's a high possibility that only there's a high possibility, still there is no guarantee that a RSS person or a yogi will be selfless, but there's a high probability. Otherwise, there is not, and there is political corruption, there is moral, economic corruption in every country. Only thing, in India, we talk about our follies too much, but other countries try to hide them and camouflage them. But so that argument came from there, right? That the meritocracy that you see, right? If you see from JP Nadda to Amit Shah to Rajnath Ji, I'm just reading the names of all the national presidents, right? To who was Venkaiah Naidu, right? They come from different regions, different caste, not related to each other, right? And the only thing common is that they all have 30, 40 years or 20 to 40 years of real social political life. Versus these gentlemen, and that they are largely born and brought up in large, under some kind of police protection and in large houses, right? So let's say if I point about 2 or 3 of them, recently Rahul Gandhi, I think someone might have I'm not trying to mock him, I'm just trying to analyze it, right? Though it sounds a little funny, recently you have seen a video, I think someone might have suggested him that you should look little like very homely, right? So he went to his kitchen, right? You know what he cooked? He cooked a jam. Like who cooks a jam in India, right? And that too we call it marmalade, which is like a Italian, German, French term for a jam, right? And looking so sophisticated, we aam ki chutney banao India. Like who makes a jam if you want to be like, show that you are a very homely person, right? So even the advices coming to their way are very sophisticated. Like someone like a Tejasvi Yadav, he's 9th pass. There's no problem, right? In someone can be very smart politician, but someone who's both the fathers were chief ministers, right? He could have accessed any fancier to the school. He could have got a fake degree. मतलब उसके लिए effort नहीं करा कि let me get a fake certificate, right? But he was so blatant कि जैसे हम लोग कहते हैं मेरा बाप तो chief minister है, who cares, right? So these guys are so blatant about them. Like, if you see their parliamentary attendance, right? So Rahul Gandhi's parliamentary attendance 17 Lok Sabha in different houses is 45%, 48%, 41%. You think that's the attendance normally? No. In India, the attendance is 85%, 90%. Someone like a Tejasvi Surya, his attendance is 91%. Poonam Mahajan, 93%. Right? They're also, Poonam Mahajan is also a dynast if you can want to. But if you're a dynast is fine, that gives you entry, but at least show up in the parliament, right? Akhilesh Yadav, he was in parliament for 2.5 years, right? Then he became an MLA and now he's in the assembly. His attendance, he's the MP for Azamgarh, his attendance was 33%. Abhishek Banerjee's current attendance is 15%. Abhishek Banerjee is Mamata Banerjee's nephew. And I'm sure all of you know that they all get a big house in Delhi and they all get 25 to 30 air flight tickets to and from their constituency every year, right? So it's not that they don't have, they can't like give any alibi that I did not show up because of this, right? So they're not showing in parliament, and they are the instruments of parliament, like first is showing up in the parliament, second is debates, third is questions, fourth is private member bills. Their numbers is 0, 1, 2, 5. When parliament is asking 300, 400 question average, there is 2, 5. Yogi Adityanath, when he was in the parliament, he was asking more questions to Narendra Modi government than Rahul Gandhi. Can you imagine that? Right? So I think people are able to see this now. Maybe not as a data, not as a kitni attendance hai, right? People are able to see through this. Now 2 more minutes on the party. Yeah. First, we all understand BJP is a cadre-based party, ideology-based party. Why I say ideology-based helps? So recently, I was talking to not a booth level, but like a local karyakarta of Congress. I asked him, what motivates you, right? Like what makes you run day and night for a candidate who may not even talk to you if he becomes a member of parliament, MLA. He was almost clueless. He says, sir, petrol का पैसा मिल जाता है, खाने वाने को मिल जाता है. That's all. If parallelly you ask a BJP कार्यकर्ता हो तो मैं देश के लिए कर रहा हूँ, right? That helps. उसके पास कुछ है. He's working for not only for the candidate, he's working for उसको. He has a feeling, right? I'm not saying BJP is the only party who's doing देश के लिए, but he's ideologically groomed. उसको पता है मैं राम के लिए कर रहा हूँ या फिर देश के लिए कर रहा हूँ या he has a ideological component and groomed to everyone, right? And a party structure to the booth level is available and honored also. I'm sure you must have seen those pictures of a lot of very unknown people giving flower to Narendra Modi when he lands somewhere, right? They are like very, at times, Yuva Morcha Jila president or a Mandal president, right? And those positions are honored. And whenever it's in a new state where BJP is not doing very good, your Jila president and Yuva Morcha president gets the ticket. In UP, see, in UP in 2014, BJP was struggling to give tickets because they did not have many candidates. And all the MPs, if you see the MP, they were all Yuva Morcha Karyakartas 10 years back or 15 years back, right? And the structure that they have the center, right? The president, vice president, general secretary, and the executive, and the 5 morchas, right? Mahila Morcha, Yuva Morcha, Alpsankhyak Morcha. The similar structure is copied in the state, at the district level, at the mandal level, the booth level, and every structure is honored, right? There are sifarish for getting into that structure also, right? In the district, it becomes the district president, quite a thing, right? So honoring that structure and keeping that structure motivated. In 2019, as soon as BJP won the election, I was visiting Sunil Bansalji, if you know this name. Now he's a national general secretary. He was the Sangathan Mantri organization in UP then, and he was putting some scheme together of some prashikshit Deen Dayal Upadhyay quiz competition, right, in every mandal. I'm saying, sir, abhi to chunav jeete hain. It was just literally 20 days after 2019 victory. And his statement was very interesting. He said, "Itna bada cadre hai." I'll say it in. I'm sure you all follow Hindi, right? Most of you follow Hindi, right? Yeah. So he said, "Itna bada cadre hai. Agar मैं काम नहीं दूंगा तो गुंडा बन जाएगा." It's a very profound statement. You have empowered them. आपकी सरकार है. Everyone knows you. वो वसूली शुरू कर देगा कि अरे मैं योगी जी से कह दूंगा, because वो पुलिस को भी जानता है, उसको भी जानता है. So I have to give them positive. मैं उसको दीनदयाल उपाध्याय की क्विज दूंगा, कल झंडा यात्रा करवाऊंगा उससे, कल उससे होली मिलन करवाऊंगा. So you have to make sure your political structure also becomes the social structure. Otherwise वो political structure बना रहेगा तो it may become a goonish structure also, because he's empowered. Whenever at least you have the government, या आपका MP MLA है, right? So I think these elements which are making them survive as a party this long, and if they keep carrying on these elements, one is the element of meritocracy, and keeping a cadre and keeping a cadre busy in political work, and then the political work is not active, making them also almost like an NGO, right? कि कोरोना आएगा तो पार्टी के लोग ये बांटेंगे भी, right? Which was not expected from a political party, right? वो गवर्नमेंट का काम है, ये NGOs का काम है. Yeah. So in my book, I largely try to document that calm wala part, yeah, that what they have done, and as I told you, 3-4 elements. One is the graphic element. Every 10 cases, the graphic style changes from manga to sepia, right? And a human story, that what happened when there was no water in the house, right? Saying 10 crore water taps versus a human story, what exactly happened? Carrying water on a head was quite a thing. That I had a spine problem because of that. My back was on a constant ache when I used to carry 20 liters of water to 30 liters of water every day. How inhaling those smoke for cooking food for 4 or 5 days is equivalent to smoking 100 to 200 cigarettes, right? So I try to document that part, right? And someone asked me, why to document? If the people like the work, they anyway know it. But at times, see, if some facility is available for a long time, right, that becomes a status quo. The corona itself looked like a thing of a past, right? Do you remember like that 2-3 years back, we were like almost thinking of a like, will we all survive or not, right? Or there'll be one of those doomsday will happen, right? And now we are living that society in a very, very pre-COVID days earlier. You remember waiting on the toll gates for a long time. These days, FASTag created quite a confusion in those starting 6 months, right? इसमें पैसे नहीं है, उस लाइन में चले जाओ, उस लाइन में चले जाओ, right? But now FASTag is the order of the day. I have written that how the waiting time was like 13-minute average, right? Now it's like 40 seconds. They're trying to reduce to 10 seconds. They're trying to remove even FASTag. They're saying वो जैसे सिंगापुर में होता है वो ऊपर से कट जाएगा with satellite, right? Not a very clear proximity things, right? So those things were not normal, even for a middle class, upper middle class person. Like for a someone who is living on government grants, it's a drastic change from a house to LPG to food to toilet to water. There's a drastic change, right? Someone who all have all of this, right? It's a drastic change in a lot of other things. And with this, I'll end. During Corona time, just after Corona, my Guruji, lives in, religious Guruji lives in Jodhpur. He was camping in Jodhpur. So I was going to visit him. So my travel pouch, I left my travel pouch, no, where you have your boarding card, your wallet, your entity card, your Corona ka bhi dikhana padta tha certificate, all of that, right? I realized when I reached the airport, right? And I took a trip kharab ho gaya. And I took a while and said, okay, maybe not, right? And I realized that now I traveled without any document. पहले आपको कार्ड दिखाना होता है, right? Earlier, at that time there was not this app. What do you call it? Digi Yatra. That was not there then, right? But you had a boarding card. ठीक है, कोरोना का कोविन से डाउनलोड हो गया. कोविन एक ऐप होता था, राइट? वो डाउनलोड हो गया, दिखा दिया. आइडेंटिटी कार्ड भी डिजी लॉकर में लकीली था मेरा, क्योंकि वो आइडेंटिटी वैसे भी देख लेते हैं. वो फोटो ऑल्सो दे सी, बट टाइम दे सी हाँ डिजी लॉकर से दिखाओ. CSF गए, न्यू अबाउट डिजी लॉकर, आई वाज सरप्राइज. वो हो गया, अंदर गए. I lived in had a hotel from a 5,000 payment to 5 rupee payment, वो तो सब हो ही रहा है. And I came back, I was still surprised that without any identity card, without any documentation, without any money, credit card, entity, COVID card, I traveled and lived in another city for 5-6 days. This was not possible 10 years back, right? You used to carry all the documents. And when I did my US trip in 2022, and it was a end of the second wave, right? I remember the card, because for the travel you have to get a corona test done. They did a very handwritten purchase card with a bad handwriting. So my name was written, and I faced a problem at the airport because my spelling was misspelled. Then it was cleared. So America, that kind of card, and our COVID app, which has a QR code which you can scan it, right? So I think that's why I feel at times a lot of obvious things should also be documented. A lot of people say that why to document, and every age and time the same should be documented again and again. Right? If you want to document Mahatma Gandhi, keep documenting him again and again, that how contextual he is today. Whatever he said, how relevant it is, what the politicians of today are saying, right? So that's why documenting that way helped me. Yeah, I think that's all. Thank you.